Hi, my name's Cathy. I was brought up in Dronfield, moved to Chesterfield when I was about 20, and I'm a nurse in Alfreton. As I grew up as an older teenager and sort of into adulthood until about 6 years ago, I was just basically looking for love. I had quite a lot of different relationships with men that didn't turn out very well. I got treated quite badly in a lot of cases, but then I treated other people quite badly as well. 6 years ago, I became a Christian and basically got to know God and just felt this unconditional love for the first time ever. It was amazing just knowing that somebody, God, loved me and accepted me for exactly who I was. I didn't have to be or do anything else. When I became a Christian, I still wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to get married. I wanted just the family that I never had, basically. I had a family, I had a mum and dad, they were lovely, I was brought up quite well, but I wanted a family of my own. I wanted a husband and someone who would love me and someone I could love. In September 2012, that's the first time I met Chris. And I was actually I thought he was really nice. Every time I tried to speak to Chris, his dad would more or less jump in front of him and start speaking to me. He couldn't really get to speak to him on his own very easily. January this year, I wasn't very well and I spent a lot of time in bed at the beginning of the year. I really felt like God was telling me it was going to be a year of blessing and that I was to have joy in him, that I was to rejoice in him, just to rejoice in everything he's done, and that actually wasn't to keep looking back. Everyone else seemed to think I wasn't going to be single, that I was going to be married, but I just thought, no, it's not going to happen. There's no single men in the church my age. It just isn't going to happen. And God, I just said to God, if this is what you've got for me, if I'm meant to be single, then I'll be single. Shortly after that, I started talking to Chris on Facebook. And it was really nice. And he sort of offered to come and help me paint my house and things like that. And I was still a little bit wary and a bit like, oh, I'm not quite sure about this. But really did want him to sort of show a bit of an interest. And then Chris asked me out via Facebook and I said no because I was going to our church meeting that night. I then panicked and thought, well, what if he doesn't ask me out again? And somebody told me, well, you don't want a wet lettuce, he'll ask you if he wants to go out with you. Then he got in touch about a week later and actually asked me out again, and we went out for our first date on a walk. When we started going out, I was very up and down all the time. It was very up and down. One minute I really wanted to go out with him, the next minute I really wasn't sure and was very scared. And I was like a yo-yo. I was up and down all the time. And Chris was just constant. He just stayed there all the time and was just absolutely certain that he wanted to go out with me, that he wanted to keep going out with me, that there was no question of the fact that it was me and him. 5 months after we met, it got quite difficult to talk about the future, because neither of us had actually said exactly what was going to happen, even though it was on our minds that we wanted to be with each other. And we sort of spoke about it, and he said, in that case, we were having a cuddle, and he said, in that case, will you marry me? And I said, are you serious? And he said, yes. And I sort of shrieked and said, yes, I will then. And then Chris's decision was that we wanted to get married really quickly. And we got married in October this year. And it was amazing. Even though God told me it was going to be a year of blessing, I had my doubts. And it has been an absolute surprise. I just was not expecting to get married. My life 1 year ago was just so completely different. It's unreal. I was single. It was approaching Christmas. It was just completely different. I just did not expect to be married. I was almost looking out to my future like single for the rest of my life, and that's it.
So yeah, at the beginning of this year I had no real expectations of anything in particular from the year, and I wasn't expecting to be in a relationship with a wonderful woman like Cathy, and I certainly wasn't expecting to get married after just seven months. It's mind-boggling, really. It's completely wonderful, and I've never been happier. It's fantastic.